Hey everyone, Zhonos here. Welcome to 9Kings, and I'm back. And we're going to do the tier list for King of Spells, and we're going to throw it in with the King of Nothing. So, let's start with the Citadel, and I think this time I'm going to try to improve the tier list a little bit. It didn't seem like a lot of people blocked at that last video, so I'll try to improve things every single time. Let me know in comments below what to work on, if there's something I should do with each tier list. So let's start with the Citadel. So the Citadel here, this is one of the best bases in the game. A lot of the bases, though, are honestly pretty competitive with each other. So right now the question is the Citadel better than the King of Nothing castle? Citadel does these chain lightning bolts that are kind of like static, but they actually scale, relatively speaking, better, much better. And you can run the perk. Where'd it go? Ruthless. Citadel attacks have a 5% chance to insta-kill, which you can make 20% by multiplying it by 4 with this nationalist, verticalist, and leftist setup here. Meaning, if you really want to focus on the base, along with other things like having, up to... This can be as high as up to 3 times. So you can have up to a level 18 base without using more cards. And so on and so forth. The Citadel can carry runs. In fact, I haven't tested this patch, but they didn't really change anything to Citadel. Citadel is absolutely bonkers. Super, 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 super powerful. So, yeah, let's just hop over to our tier list. Can I do this? Let me just drag this up here. Boom. I'm just winging it. Citadel. Citadel goes. See, we're gonna hear the clicking, aren't we? Because take me to the main menu. Hold on. Get me out of here, and get some music going as well. Might as well. Yeah, Citadel. The problem is there are a lot of S tier bases that are just as good. And Citadel does require perks, but it is also very good. It does AoE damage too, not just the chaining, but it has a little tiny circle that does an AoE impact. I think we'll put it at the top of A tier for now. It's a tough call between this and Steel Code, but I don't think Castle's better than the Citadel, even though it is AoE. I don't know. That's tough. I really like the Citadel and how it works, but am I being biased? Let's do this for now. Let's just do this for now. So let's jump on to the next card. Yeah, let me just jump back to the game. So, next card, King of Spells, is a wizard. Ranged spellcaster, damage increases for each enchantment it bears. Now, enchantments, let me just show you what an enchantment looks like so you know. So we're going to use Mystic here. We'll just go into run so you can see what an enchantment looks like specifically, for those of you who don't know. I could have used the, there were actually cards in the perks that could have worked, but right here, enchantments have these little plus signs. So all of these types of cards that when you place them down on a unit, you can then see them underneath the unit down here. Do you see that right there? The little vampirism icon down there? That's an enchantment. Things that are not enchantments, but seem similar, are tomes. The difference being, let's play this shields. Tomes are, whoa, sacrifice. How did you get in my hand? Tomes, when you apply them, you don't see them down here. So that's how you know that they're not enchantments. That's all you need to know. So. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did real bad. I know. Come on, let me out. So, wizard. This is a 1% increase for every enchantment, I believe. Am I crazy? Ruh-roh. Should we go in and double check? Hold on. Can we see? 11 damage. Ah, 5%. Wow, that's wild. Okay, it's 5% more damage. Okay, never mind. Well, I guess that explains their scaling. Why did I think 1%? That would be reinforce. There's 1% for every level up. Well, okay, let's head back to the main menu and we'll switch over to our tier list here. So I think, wizards have gotten better. How much better though? I think they're better than archers. Because you don't need, like twin shot makes archers really powerful. I did say that like as a good thing that they do have options in policies in the Royal Council. Wizards do too, but their option, honestly, I would never go glass staves because like, so if it's the first policy, I'd rather have more power than just giving these guys 100 attack and 1 HP. And the real power wizards is, yeah, it is the combination with combustion here. I don't know. You don't really need or even care that much about the policies. So on the one hand, the wizard doesn't really gain that much strength from at least the wizard specific one, although they get a ton of strength towards the interview run if you can double your enchantments and you already have like 20, 30, or 40 stacked up. So, whereas the archer can work without them, they gain a lot more powerful. I think the wizard arguably doesn't need them, but if you get the double enchantments, you just like jump into power. Jump, like you're like up here. Although it doesn't really matter at the end of the run if it's the very last few years and you get to double all your enchantments. Is that what helped you win? Maybe. I think farm is overall more usable, as is Wildcard. Within the spells faction, yeah, I'm going to leave it here, I think. Wizards are good. I might be underselling them, but they're definitely better than Archer. But they require a lot of setup. Like, you have to commit into library and stuff like that. And you can't offering to get enchantments. So you have to get, like, you use the perk at the beginning of the game to have 4 free enchantments, or some other ways to cheat some enchantments, like you go to the store. And then you set up a bunch of libraries, and then you should be good to go. I think we will go above the Archer, but just pretty much, to me, they're similar, but they scale off different things. Okay, let's go to the next card. Let me just hop back in. Shaman. Oh no, Warlock. Warlock is the front line of the King of Spells. Deals AoE damage. That seems to grow, and I haven't confirmed this. Someone let me know in the comments if you know. This seems to grow based on some kind of stat, like their HP potentially. I think they're the AoE swing that they have grows on HP. Maybe it's just levels. It's a really faint blue circle, so if anyone's investigated it, let me know. But it does seem to get really big over time. And they added this new thing that every time a tome is used on anything, and unlike the wizard, which has to be the wizard scales off of the enchantments on it specifically, the warlock, you can scale the warlocks while still feeding a bunch of tomes to your wizard or your other, like the golem. So the warlocks are way more flexible when it comes to their gimmick. And they can work really well with things like static, because I'm pretty sure poisons definitely apply on their AoE cleave. Static might be applying on it as well. Either way, they're very, very, very good against kings that stack up, like King of Blood and King of Greed somewhat. I like warlocks. I think warlocks are really good. And they have good synergy with offering indirectly, because this creates tome cards for you and is a tome card itself. So the warlock can just go crazy if you just hunt offering. And offering is like the best card in this faction. Like, without a doubt. Like, this will be S. I'm just going to tell you now. So let's go back to our tier list real fast. That tells me I think the warlock is either top of B. It's probably top of B. Is it as good as the farm? The farm makes several builds viable and several units viable. Warlock doesn't enable very much, but it is really, really solid. Within the King of Spells faction, I might actually put it at the bottom of A. The problem is they have just like the Paladin, they have a really low unit count. So you need things like populate. But unlike the wizards, which actually have a high unit count, by the way, warlocks scale really well with offering. And then, as I've already said, offering is going up here. So because warlocks have great synergy with offering, maybe I should put them in the bottom of A tier. We'll have to think about it some more. The problem is I don't run warlocks in other factions very much, but they're really solid. I guess if I'm going to have paladins up here, maybe warlocks being at the bottom of A is okay. It's either here or here. We'll leave them on the top of A for now. And let's look at combustion next. So, hop back to the game. Let's look at combustion. Oh no, not combustion. That was all out of order. Shamans. We need shamans. Buffs allies attack damage, so their attack stat, based on its own damage stat. And they also grow bigger too, for some reason. Shamans are weird. Yeah, that's all we need to know about how they work. They're weird. So they don't actually attack themselves, as far as I can tell. Maybe I should test that. But they're a support unit. They help enable other units. That being said, they're very gimmicky. So offering with swords can help the shamans be useful, but they have just really bad stats. You need to like buff their attack speed and their base damage, and if they don't have any health, then some factions like the King of Nature and King of Greed will just assassinate these guys instantly. And they can't really fight on their own. I'm gonna have to put them in C. In fact, I think I'm gonna put them below those soldier. They like make some builds really funny, but they're not good. They can't fight on their own. And even if they could, they have such horrible stats that it wouldn't be worth it. And the effort it takes to use a shaman is way too much. And they still don't do anything on their own. You need to pair them with someone else. Like a warlock. Pairing the warlock actually was surprisingly decent. Because warlocks lack damage, but they scale health naturally with the tome use. I'm going to put them here. I don't think shamans are good. Sadly, though they are fun. There's some funny memes you can do with them. But it's not really, yeah, no, they just, I think right here is correct. Okay, next card we have is, looks like the library. Okay, so every year has a 50% chance of duplicating an enchantment of one random adjacent troop. The library picks from adjacent units that have enchantments. So it won't try to proc on a troop that has no enchantments on them. I remember enchantments are like static here, where it has this little, you see in the top right here, this little like regeneration looking, these kind of crosses. And you'll see it on the unit card, like we showcased a moment ago with the wizard. So the library is finicky because if you start enchanting multiple units, like you want your front line to have tanky, like steel coats or something, and you want your back line to have damage, like combustion. Library, because of the way you normally set up units in like a hex grid, library can be really inefficient because it can only hit one troop, kind of like the farm. And even worse, it could pick a troop that you don't want having their enchantments duplicated. Another thing to note, the library will only ever give you 3 enchantment duplications ever. And this includes overwork, which gives you more attempts, more of these triggers to try to get a fail or success. And if you use regression, which lowers the level of a unit, of a plot, assuming there's they have more than one level already at that moment. So library could be raised to level 30. I've done it. You'll still only get 3 duplications, and then every single attempt beyond the 3 successes, whenever they happen, all the rest just fail. So library has like a hidden passive that it can only give you 3 enchantments per year, no matter what you do, whatever tricks you do to try to get more duplications out of it. So while you can run the perk that gives you higher library chance to have like a 70% chance, I think I'm actually sus on this. I think it says plus 5%. I actually don't think it's turns into 70%. I suspect that it's actually 50% times 120%, not 50% plus 20%. So someone let me know if they have data on this, but all that being said, libraries are really cool, really powerful, really unreliable as well if you're trying to get power right away. By the end of like 20 years, if you set one up early, they're really good. In combination, especially with a policy. I think that gives me enough information. Let's hop back over to the tier list. Libraries to me are like the better shaman. So they are utility support. They're more reliable. They have really good synergy with a wizard and some other key units. And if you're running King of Spells, they're even better because you can duplicate all of your enchantments. They enable some specific units really well. That tells me it's around the farm's power level, honestly. But because they're unreliability, I'm debating if they should go above or below Wildcard. I'm going to put them below Wildcard for now because you can't always use the library. And if you need it to give you power right away, it might fail several years in a row. And remember, each level gives you 1 attempt. If this is a level 1 library, you might spend 5 years and get no duplications because you have really bad luck. It can happen. I've seen it. So because these require levels, or things like overwork to give you more attempts, or other ways to like give you more libraries, and because they're kind of picky, you don't want them touching 2 different units that you're trying to duplicate enchantments on if they both have enchantments. Because of their finickiness, I'm going to put them below Wildcard, but they're good. They're really good. I like the library. Okay, so let's go on to the next card. Hop back in. Spire. Spire is weird. I really liked Spire many patches ago. It didn't do anything for high difficulty, but it was fun. I liked it. It was enjoyable to use for a while, especially with Wallmaker. Because walls didn't really scale very well before. Getting shields really helped walls, and also getting regression massively helped the walls. Before those existed, I liked Spire to help make walls work. But that's about it, really. So it heals units that are closest to death during battle, which may not actually be useful because if you have lots of units, it might pick garbage units instead of your main tanks. And so it's not a perfect raid healer. It does heal more than 1 unit. And levels gives it more beams, as can this perk. Seer. So like you can... Higher levels give you pretty decent healing numbers. And you'll see like fairly inflated numbers depending on your build. That being said, I feel like last episode gave us a little more information on this too. I'm going to have to put Spires probably at the bottom of B tier, maybe even C tier. Yeah, no, I think it's top C. I like the better Scout Towers because they can help early on a lot. Like early on, this can help you stabilize with the right kinds of units. If your units are not getting 1 shot, but are getting 2 or 3 shot, oh crap, I need to switch. Spires, C tier. The reason why is because they can help you survive a few early years. And so like you have some Paladins, like you have a low unit count. So you might use Spires to help kind of stave off your weak years, and then you just offering it away later or something. So they're a good fill-in unit temporarily to help get a little extra oomph out of your front line. So I don't hate them. I like them better than soldiers. I think that sums them up pretty well. So that takes us to offering, I believe, right? Take me back. Where's offering? Offering. Destroy target plot to receive 3 random tome cards, which could be another offering, by the way, or a rewind. That's a tome. And guess what? You could offering, get 3 cards. One of them is rewind. So you play a few cards, then you rewind, you get the offering back. And then you, within the offering, you use the offering again. And then, oops, guess what? Another rewind. I have played like endless gambling with rewind. Things like Earthworks, Overhaul, Rewind, and Offering, where they just keep cycling into each other, especially with the King of Nomads has a, you can get this from multiculturalism too, by the way. There's a policy that King of Nomads gets that whenever you destroy a plot, which is meant to work with migration, another thing you can get from Offering, by the way. Whenever you destroy a plot, you gain like +1 of whatever benefit that you would have got originally. So that means Offering normally gives you 3 cards. If you're playing King of Nomads or you multiculturalism the policy in during your run, you'd get 4 cards. So even without that, Offering is S tier. If you have something like that, Offering wins you the game on the spot. Like this wins King 9-9 runs by itself with the right luck. Offering is busted. Offering is probably the best card in the game. Like consistently you can get to. I'm not sure if I can count rainbow cards. Because Gigantify might beat Offering barely. Maybe. Barely. The reason why Offering is not as good as Gigantify, which is 100%, like you double your health, your attack, and your size for some reason. I mean, you're being turned into a giant, I guess. Offering can miss. Offering can give you the worst tomes in the game. It can give you Sacrifice, which makes you destroy a plot to level up adjacent plots. It's not very good typically. It can give you Earthworks, which isn't always good, but Earthworks is actually pretty decent if you have plots that are already leveled up a couple levels, because then you gain 3 copies, which lets you have more fodder for Offering. It can get you Overhaul, which is another plot destruction, which isn't good unless you, again, already, say, use some overhauls. And then you were able to Earthworks 3 copies of something. So you have 3 more plots to fodderize for something like Overhaul. So it depends. I mean, you could even get freaking, where is it? Mortgage, which just doesn't do anything immediately. Mortgage is a kind of whiff. Mortgage and Sacrifice are big whiffs. But you can get Clone. You can get Shields and Swords. And Migration. There's so much that you can get from Offering. And if you get Rewind and you chain Offering into Rewinds, like you suddenly generate like, 4, 6, 8 cards out of nowhere. It's insane. Like it's actually, Offering has won me so many runs by itself. A couple good offerings, and I suddenly can win a King 9-9 difficulty when it was impossible before. If you whiff, it sucks. It's true. Getting Sacrifice sucks. But the price we pay. So let's go. We got 2 more to go. Oh my gosh, I've already spent 24 minutes. It's okay. I'll get better at these tier lists, I promise. So, static. Units attacks trigger a lightning chain that deals 9 damage. Used to be 1, by the way. For every stack of static, you gain 1 more chain. So I believe what this means is you hit 1 target for 9, and that bounces to 1 more target for 9. And then, so if you have 50 stacks of static, theoretically, it bounces, 50 times. So I don't know if static has caps to units. So if it's already stacked if you already hit a target with static, can it bounce back to the same target? I don't know. It's either that warlocks sweep and trigger multiple stacks of static, which I'm actually not sure if that's how that works, or static can bounce to the same target multiple times. Something we need to look into more. I wish I could look at the code. Anyway, pretty simple. It got buffed recently. It's niche. It's niche, but it's better. It's better than it used to be. I think it's... Ooh. Is this? If it's low difficulty, it's better than... let me get out of the menu so I stop making weird clicking noises. If it's low difficulty, static is like up here. If it's high difficulty, static is like right here. Because it's always 9 damage, right? So at high difficulty, it falls off a cliff. It's still good. If you have really, really, really high attack speed, it can still actually output good damage. Yeah, I'm thinking right here, I guess. In the faction, it's decent with warlocks specifically. It's not great with wizards because they have low attack speed. Static does good with archers. And anything else with high attack speed or with like cleave, which is mostly just a warlock. Wizards technically have an AoE, but it's not the same. I think I'll leave it here. If it were the old static, it'd be down here. Around here. Buffing it from 1 to 9 was massive. It's way better. Because you could just have 1 or 2 stacks early, and that'll just supplement your damage. And you don't have to worry about more stacks, really. It just helps you a little bit in the early game. On units that have high attack speed. Yeah, I think that'll cover them. Okay, last card. Nope. Yep. Let's look at combustion. Enemies killed by the bearer explode, dealing 20% of its damage to nearby foes. Right, okay. I always thought this was the bearer. 20% of the bearer's damage. But if we're looking at the sentence grammatically, enemies killed by the bearer explodes, dealing 25% of their damage to nearby foes? It could be read that way. I wish I could look at the code of the game and actually just verify this. I'm pretty sure it's 20% of the bearer's damage, though. So this has really good scaling with the wizards, who have high damage by default because they're scaling the damage now for every enchantment, which combustion is an enchantment. And you can use library to duplicate them. If you watch the last episode, you see how crazy it got. Something to note, more stacks of combustion do not increase this damage. You don't start doing 100, 200, 300% with 10, 20, 30 stacks or whatever. Instead, more stacks of combustion, kind of like static in its own weird, clever, silly way, increase the AoE. So it's literally, this does an area of effect circle that's really small. I would say it's big enough to hit pretty much all the melee if they're all clumped up like King of Blood likes to do, with just 1 stack of combustion. But if you're trying to hit ranged units, you're going to need like 20, 30, 40 stacks of combustion. But then 30 stacks of combustion, you could start cleaving like the whole army in 1 or 2 hits, potentially. So it's interesting. I don't hate it. I don't hate combustion. But is it good? Well, is it better than static? Combustion is good against melee units with even 1 or 2 copies. But only if you have high attack units. So like with archers, static is way, 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 way better. But with wizards or something with like even more attack, combustion gets really good. I would say in most runs, especially high difficulty runs, you can't really stack damage reliably in most cases. But the runs where you can stack damage, combustion shoots up in power. This is... I'm going to say it's better than the wizard, but not as good as the library. Because the library can duplicate steel coats, which is really, 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 really important for some builds. So combustion, like static, has the right situations where it's good and some situations where it's not so good. A lot of 9-9 King 9-9 builds and King 9 builds rely more on high health units or things like steel coat to cheat health and like cemeteries. So like combustion at high difficulties is okay if you're facing like King of Blood, which you'd want to face to get cemeteries. But King of Greed is too scary that you don't typically want to fight King of Greed, and combustion doesn't make you automatically win against King of Greed because their thieves will jump, and if you're using range units, their thieves will be spread out. I think here's fine. I might actually start dragging some of these guys down here. I think I might... No, we can't put them in F. F is for Mangler. Maybe. Let's see with more cards what this list looks like. For now, our first S is offering. For sure. Like this is just S. You just get card advantage. If you play any card game, gaining cards from a card, yes, you destroy a plot and you give up this card. But then you lose 2 cards, then you gain 3. So this is like Pot of Greed, basically. If you know Pot of Greed from Yu-Gi-Oh, this is almost Pot of Greed. Now, you don't gain cards from your own deck, as it were. Not because you don't even have a deck. But you know what type of cards you can get from this. And we can talk about it later when we look at all the rest of the cards, but I would say the majority of the time, you're at worst, you're selling the cards for more gold. Yeah, I think this is fair. I think S is correct. Citadel's is pretty close to Castle. It's a little bit better, but it does really shine when you have the perk investment, whereas Castle doesn't really care about the perk investment. I mean, yes, getting attack speed with Castle, but like all your troops benefit, all your cards will benefit from attack speed for Castle. It's not really for Castle's sake. I think this is good. I think we'll run with this. And so that means next episode, we're probably going to look at King of Greed and then maybe toss them onto the tier list. Yeah, I think so. Spoiler alert, Dispenser is no longer F. It would have been an F. It would have been. Also, Palace lost some power. But we'll talk about that more in the coming days. Either way, I think we'll wrap up the tier list there. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you'd like to see more, feel free to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and let me show the tier list one last time. Looking good? Yep. I'll see y'all next time.